Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 16, to today we'll be discussing verse number 64. Shri Rishir Uvacha Mukto Bhagavata Rajan Krishne Nadbhuta Karmana Tam Pujayam Asamudha Nagapatnyascha Sadram. Shri Rishir Uvacha Mukto Bhagavata Rajan Krishne Adbhuta Karmana Tam Pujayam Asamuda Nagapatnyascha Sadaram. Nagapatnyascha Sadaram. Shri Rishiruvacha Mukto Bhagavata Rajan Krishne Nadbhuta Karmana Yam Asamuda Nagapatnyascha Sadaram. Shri Rishiruvacha Mukto Bhagavata Rajan Krishne Nadbhuta Karmana Pujayam Asamuda Nagapatnyascha Sadaram. Anything else? Shri Rishiruvacha Mukto Bhagavata Rajan Krishne Nadbhuta Karmana Tam Pujayam Asamuda Nagapatnyascha Sadaram. Shri Rishiruvacha. The sage Sukdev said, Muktaha, freed, Bhagavata, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rajan, O King Parikshit. Krishnena, by Lord Krishna. Adbhuta Karmana, whose activities are very wonderful. Tam, him. Pujayam Asa, worshipped. Muda, with pleasure. Naga, of the serpent. Patnyaha, the wives. Cha, and. Sa Adaram, with reverence. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sukdev Goswami continued, My dear king, having been released by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are wonderful, Kaliya joined his wives in worshipping him with great joy and reverence. Sukdev Goswami said, My dear king, having been released by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are wonderful, Kaliya joined his wives in worshipping him with great joy and reverence. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse. The word Adbhuta Karmana indicates the Lord's wonderful activities of saving the residents of Vrindavan from Kaliya, saving Kaliya himself from Garuda, and bestowing grace upon both the victims of violence and the committer of that violence. The word Krishnena, by Krishna, indicates that because Kaliya's wives were great devotees of the Lord and offered him loving affection, Krishna withdrew, Karshanam, both Kaliya's offense against the Lord's devotee Garuda and that against the residents of Vrindavan who were very dear to him. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatari. So requesting the blessings of Maharaj, all the senior Vaishnavas, by your blessings, can speak a few words on this verse. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are coming almost to the end of this chapter, and this is actually the last but one verse with the purport. And so previously we read how like the last few verses were mainly like the Falshruti, saying that anyone who actually reads about these pastimes and one who actually bathes in this place of my pastimes and offers waters to the worshipful personalities of one, observes fast and duly worships and remembers me, he's sure to become free from all sinful reactions. So after offering the benedictions, which is actually often done at the end of the pastimes, now Sukdev Goswami is actually continuing and saying what did Kaliya and his wives do after that. Right? So so basically here the main stress, the two main points which have been stressed in the purport. One is Krishne Nadbhuta, which is actually translated as Adbhuta Karmana. Krishne Adbhuta Karmana. Adbhuta Karmana, whose activities are very wonderful. Right? So that's the point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually explaining in this purport. So why is it said Adbhuta Karmana at this point? That why is said that Krishna's activities are so wonderful, right? And so there are so many points, and actually I was reading the explanation by different acharyas, and they actually give like almost a list of points why Krishna's activities are praised here as being so wonderful. Okay, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning three of them. The first one, he's saying that Krishna's activities are so wonderful that he saved all the residents of Vrindavan from Kaliya. Right. The second one he says is he saved Kaliya himself from Garuda. And the third one is saying he bestowed grace both upon the victims of violence and the committer of that violence. So three of those have been mentioned. Right? So the first point I wanted to stress is like, let's discuss this Adbhuta Karmana, that how everything that Krishna does, all his pastimes and all his activities are all auspicious, are all perfect. Sometimes when we are reading some pastimes or we are reading something and say like, oh, why did Krishna do like this? We try to use our limited mental capacity to actually analyze that, oh, this could have been like this, or this. We start to speculate on the pastimes. But here we can see how Krishna's pastimes are always all auspicious, all perfect. Okay, so let's see this in terms of four main points. The first is the benedictions on Kaliya himself. Okay, so let's see what benedictions Kaliya actually got after this pastime. And we know like how it was described before, Kalia was such a wicked serpent, so envious, right? So at the end of this pastime, what are the benedictions that Kalia actually received? And this shows the merciful, the most merciful nature of Krishna, right? So the first benediction upon Kalia is that Kalia was saved from Garuda, right? So we read in the previous verse where Krishna has given instructions that you go back to the place where you were before. And Yasir Maharaj was Ramanaka Island, and Yasir Maharaj was so nicely explaining the wonderful stories in Fiji, how that person got that dream. So that's so interesting. Uh, Kalia is actually, Kalia himself was saved from Garuda. So before he actually left the Ramanaka Island and came to this place of Vrindavan because of fear of Garuda. And then we'll read further in the pastime that how he was actually taking the food of Garuda, and because of that they had the fight, and then Garuda actually chastised Kalia, and then Kalia escaped and came to this place. But now he is actually saved from Garuda. And how did that actually happen? Because now on his head he has the impressions of the lotus feet of the Lord himself. Right? So how Maharaj was explaining yesterday, it was almost like Kalia got initiated. Right? He has the symbols on his head, so now he has like we have the tilak and kantimala. So now he's a Vaishnava. So when Garuda sees that, oh, now Kalia has become a Vaishnava, then naturally he will not, again offend him or again fight with him. So the first benediction that Kalia receives is that he is actually, he no longer needs to be afraid of Garuda. Okay? And the second, which is actually the most wonderful benediction, is he actually got blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. And then we read before that how even Lakshmi ji is actually desiring to get the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. But Kalia actually had this benediction that it actually formed an imprint on his head that it's always there. So that benediction, which is so rare for Brahma and Lakshmi to actually get, Kali actually got that benediction. Right? So that's the second point. First is he got saved from Garuda, and second is he actually was touched by the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. Okay. Then the next point that Jiva Goswami actually explains is he actually says the next point as he attained a place with his previous type of happiness, which is very interesting, which made me think that why Jiva Goswami is actually mentioning this point. He says like Garuda, he actually attained a place with his previous type of happiness. And Jiva Goswami says this is the part of the Adbhuta. The astonishing thing is that in spite of Garuda receiving the dust of the lotus feet of Lord, he was sent back to the place from where he actually came. So I was thinking of this point that one may, like, if you see from the external point of view, one may say that, what did Garuda gain? He was there in one place, he came, and now he's chastised and he's sent back to the same place. Like, externally one may see there's no benefit. But the real benefit is that he actually received the mercy of the Lord. So, beyond the external situation, the blessing that one carries, that is what actually keeps value. So, now even though he's going back to the place where he actually came from, now he's actually become a devotee. And because he's become a devotee of the Lord, it does not matter where he is, because he's always absorbed. He'll always be absorbed in Krishna, right? So that is actually the best benediction to have, that if you can always be Krishna conscious, basically, then irrespective of our external situation or the place where we are put in, we can always be absorbed in Krishna's pastimes, in Krishna's glories. And that is the special benediction that Kalia received, that he became a devotee finally. And there's nothing higher than this, right? To become a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, right? So, and the next point Jiva Goswami is actually explaining. He says Garuda respected him and became friendly with him. And I already mentioned that point, that now because Kalia has become a devotee, now Garuda is also a devotee of the Lord. So now they are seeing each other as Vaishnavas rather than as enemies, right? So that's the next point. And then it is explained that the hoods became successful by dancing and by the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So Lord Krishna danced on the hoods, and the hoods actually became one can say like a part of Lord Krishna's pastimes, because it became a surface where Lord Krishna actually danced. So the hoods itself became very auspicious. Then the next thing is he received direct instructions from Krishna himself. It's so interesting that, if you think Kalia being an envious, and then how we're reading in the previous verses also that Kalia himself is saying that we snakes, we ourselves are envious, we have that nature. But here, how did Kalia actually receive a personal instruction of the Lord? Imagine like if we receive a personal instruction that Krishna comes and says, do this, that means we are so fortunate that Krishna himself is giving us personal instructions. And if we can actually follow that instruction, then we are surrendered to Krishna, as our life is successful, right? So he actually received personal instructions from the Lord. So all these are the benedictions that Kalia received. So when we actually say Krishna's Adbhuta Karmana, that a person who was so envious has now been transformed into a devotee of the Lord with all these different benedictions. Okay? And then the main point, why did this actually happen? Why did Krishna actually shower mercy on Kalia? Which is actually the main essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. Is that because he was related to the devotee of the Lord? Like if you see Kalia as such, he had like no qualifications. He was like full of false pride. And because of false pride, he actually committed an offense to Garuda initially. Because he was thinking like, who is this Garuda? Why should I actually supply food to him? I'll just do what I want, and then he actually took Garuda's food. So because of that false pride, he offended Garuda first. And then second, because of false pride, he said, oh, this lake is just mine. And then he actually created all these poisonous fumes, and even a bird flying over that lake would actually immediately be killed. So his second offense was because, again, the same reason, because of false pride, he said, this lake is mine. And then he spread poison everywhere, and he said, he's the controller. So both the offenses to a Vaishnava were because of the false pride nature. And this actually I was thinking is I was thinking about this point that, when do we commit offenses to Vaishnavas? When we have the feeling of false pride. And if we actually understand it from the other side, if we are actually in the mood of humility, if we are humble, then we will not commit offenses to Vaishnava. Because if we have that mood of humility, then where is the question of offending a Vaishnava? Because Krishna knows what is our intention. So even though there may be some misunderstanding, but if we have that humility in our heart, considering, oh, I'm just a servant of the servant of the servant, then because Krishna knows our heart, he does not consider that as an offense. And then very soon the things can be resolved. So because of false pride. So the point I was trying to make is, if you see Kalia, what qualification did he have to receive the mercy of the Lord? He had this big problem of false pride. Because of that, he offended Vaishnavas twice, But the only qualification that he had is his wives were devotees of the Lord. And that is actually throughout Bhagavatam, the whole point is actually said that somehow or other, if you are connected to a devotee of the Lord, then you can be successful. You can be successful. Like even Prahlad Maharaj, he actually, like in his prayers to Lord Narasimhadev, he actually repeatedly says that my good fortune is, like, even if you see the starting of his prayers where Prahlad Maharaj is actually saying, Brahma and all these great personalities, they have tried to offer prayers to you, but they have been unsuccessful. So what qualification do I have to offer the prayers? And then he brings up, actually, all these high positions do not please you, my Lord. The only thing that pleases you is bhakti, And it's not that Prahlad Maharaj is actually claiming that I am a bhakta, but he's actually claiming that I have received the mercy of a bhakta, Narad Muni, and hence I can actually offer prayers to you. So throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, the same point is actually explained, where it's said that the whole point to actually attract the mercy of the Lord is to be connected with devotees of the Lord. Right? And that's the same theme that we see here, that because the only qualification that Kalia had was his wives were devotees. And hence he received all these benedictions which are actually listed by our acharyas. Okay? Then let's see the Adbhuta Karmana. I was thinking the second, I was just analyzing all the personalities who were involved in this pastime. So we talked of Kalia. Now we talked of Kalia's wives. And what was their benediction? They actually got an opportunity to offer these beautiful prayers to the Lord, which is actually being recited in Srimad Bhagavatam up to this day. All their prayers are again and again sung, right? And then even Vaishnav Acharyas are glorifying the Nag Patnis for these prayers, like in that bhajan where we sing Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan. In that is actually saying, what is that? Nagapatni. It actually says, there's a line which says Nagapatni actually received the bhakti. Yeah, they actually glorify. So just because the wives of the Kaliya got this opportunity to glorify the Lord, to this day, they are actually glorified. That these are devotees. They actually offer such beautiful prayers and hence receive the mercy of the Lord. So perfectly auspicious for the Nagpatnis. Then the cowherd boys. So that's the other point that I mentioned, who were actually poisoned by Kaliya. They actually are saved now, right? And if you actually see a deeper meaning to that, is actually Krishna wanted to reveal that intense mood of separation, even though for a moment, but he actually brought up those emotions. So from all points, you see, everyone who's actually involved in the pastime actually had some benediction. And that is how Krishna's pastimes work, that everything is always auspicious. And for Krishna himself, Krishna actually receives so much joy in just dancing on the hoods of Kaliya and showing his power to all the cowherd boys and the people who had not fainted there, where he's dancing and he's actually showing, this is so much fun. And we read like how when Krishna was dancing and the hoods were like slippery and one hood was coming up and he was jumping, and Krishna was experiencing joy, by having this pastime. So the point about the Adbhuta Karmana is Krishna's activities are always all perfect. Krishna's plan is always all perfect. And I was thinking, like, personally, what does this mean for us? And I was thinking of the section where in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th chapter, where there's like Bhishma Dev's prayers, he actually makes this point that no one can actually understand what is the plan of the Lord. And hence, like in the Purport, Prabhupada makes the point, hence one should simply abide by the order of the Lord, not trying to speculate that, why this happened. So we are actually put into so many different situations, right? Even in a path of bhakti, we are put into a particular situation and we think that, Krishna, why did you put me in this situation? But again, if we actually read these pastimes and then coming back to the Bhishma Dev's prayers, we actually see that, there is no point. And in that purport, Prabhupada makes the point that it is actually fruitless to actually speculate on what is Krishna's plan, that why Krishna actually did this to me. So if we are put in a particular situation, we accept, yes, Krishna, he knows everything and he has a wonderful plan for everything. Everything that is happening is actually perfect. And hence, I am put in this situation, Krishna has a plan for me. So my only thing right now is I need to understand that how I need to act in this pastime and what do I need to learn, or how I need to act in this particular situation and what I need to learn from this particular situation. So when we are actually put in a difficult situation, we accept that yes, Krishna has a plan which is beyond me to understand. But my role right now is to understand that what does Krishna want me to learn in this situation, and how does he want me to want me to act in this particular situation. So we can come to Krishna and say, Krishna, I don't know why you put me in this situation, but please help me, give me the understanding how I should act in this situation, and please give me the intelligence so that I can learn what you are trying to teach me from this situation. And then also in that in the Tatenu compound verse in 10.14.8, in the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually saying that for devotees, the karma is actually like all the situations that we are put in is personally orchestrated by the Lord so that we learn particular lessons. You know? So everything that's coming to us, that is a particular lesson for us to learn. And then our submissiveness and our shelter is only when we actually come to Krishna and say, Krishna, please tell me, what do you want me to learn from this particular situation? You know? Naturally, our mind goes to like, oh Krishna, why did you put me in this situation? But when we actually try to find out an answer to why, that is more of a lack of surrender or lack of faith in Krishna's plan. You know, because we are challenging that, oh, I know better than Krishna. You know, I know better than Krishna. But Krishna knows the best for us. And hence he has put us in a situation to learn something. So all we need to do is pray to Krishna and take shelter of Krishna and beg him to actually give us intelligence to act in a proper way in a particular situation. So, so that was the point I was thinking from this first point of Adbhuta Karmana, that Krishna's pastimes is always all auspicious. So everything that Krishna is actually bringing into our life, we should consider it's all auspicious. Okay? And the second point, which is actually stressed in this purport, is about the offenses. The word Krishnena, by Krishna, indicates that because Kaliya's wives were great devotees of the Lord and offered him loving affection, Krishna withdrew both Kaliya's offense to Garuda and to the residents of Vrindavan. So we actually see that statement that how Krishna, he can forgive all kinds of offenses, but he does not forgive a Vaishnava Pran. You know, and then we see that in the entire pastime of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Right, so in that pastime, basically, Ambarish Maharaj was observing a fast Ekadashi Vrat for 1 whole year, and then it was time for him to break his fast, right? And then it's described like how he distributed cows, he served the brahmanas, and then he was ready to break his fast, and it was the right time that Durvasa Muni appeared, and then he said he greeted Durvasa Muni and he said like, okay, I would like to serve you prasadam, and then Durvasa Muni said, well, I have to go take my bath and do my rituals, and then Durvasa Muni went to take his bath, and then the time for breaking the fast was actually getting over, and Ambarish Maharaj had to make a decision, saying that, oh, if I don't break my fast during this time, then all the auspicious results of that of the vrat will be lost, you know. And then he consulted with his brahmanas. He didn't actually just make a decision on his own. He consulted with his brahmanas, and they said, okay, just drink a drop of water. So that way you're breaking your fast, and also you're not offending Durvasa Muni. Because you can actually, the rule is, the etiquette is we should not eat until we serve our guests, right? So you're not breaking the etiquette, and you are also breaking your fast. So just drink water. And just by that drinking water, Durvasa Muni, when he came, because he had the power, he knew that, oh, see this king, he has actually eaten before me, you know. And again, that's the whole thing about false pride, you know. And it's actually false pride that actually makes, because of false pride, one commits Vaishnava pride. You know? And here Durvasa, because he was thinking that, oh, I am such a great sage, you know, how can this Ambarish, who is just a king, you know, just a king involved with worldly affairs, eat before serving me? You know? And then Durvasa Muni got angry, and we know story, he plucked one of his hairs, this big demon appeared, who was actually ready to attack Ambarish, but Ambarish was just, you know, so calm. It was just, you know, he didn't like take out his sword to fight the demon. He was just, you know, calm, and because he was sure that, you know, what he did was right, and it's, you know, Krishna will protect me. And immediately Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra came, killed the demon, and then chased Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni is described how he was running everywhere. He went to all places, and he went to Brahma, and Brahma said, well, I cannot protect you. He went to Shiva. Shiva said, I cannot protect you. And then he came to Vishnu finally. And then Vishnu also said, actually, because you have offended the devotee of the Lord, only the devotee can actually, only when the devotee forgives you, do I have the power to forgive you. You know? So for your best benefit, go back to Ambarish and ask his forgiveness. Actually, those verses are like really beautiful, where Vishnu is actually talking to Ambarish Maharaj, and I'll just read a couple of verses there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the core of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, but even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. You know? So Vishnu himself is actually declaring his love for his devotees. You know? And that's why that comes to the point of why Kalia actually received so much mercy, because he was connected to devotees. And how the Lord is actually so dear to his devotees that he actually says that I am completely under the control of my devotees. You know? And if you actually see the starting the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Krishna says, I am Swarat, I am independent. You know? So yes, one way Krishna is independent, but as you read further in Bhagavatam, we see how Krishna is dependent on his own devotees. You know, and that is actually the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, that this bhakti is actually the highest thing. You know, the highest conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam is devotees and devotional service. Right? And then, so finally, Durvasa Muni comes back to Ambarish Maharaj, and again we see the nature of a devotee there, right? Ambarish Maharaj didn't actually say, oh, see, you went all over, you didn't, you know, you had to come back to me. No, he was, his mood was like so humble. He said like, when Durvasa Muni asked forgiveness, he said like, why are you asking forgiveness from me? You know? And then he actually started offering prayers to Sudarshan and saying, Sudarshan, please forgive Durvasa because he didn't do anything wrong. And that's the heart of a devotee. Right? And then Sudarshan actually, you know, hearing all these prayers, he actually forgave Durvasa Muni. So again the same thing. Hearing all the prayers by the Nag Patnis, Krishna actually is forgiving Garuda. So the whole point again comes like, you know, when we are under the shelter of a devotee of a Lord, that's the only way we can actually attract the mercy of the Lord. You know? And even if we were to commit some offense, knowingly or unknowingly, if we are under the shelter of the devotees and if we are in the mood of humility, then, you know, oftentimes we hear this question in the class, oh, what happens, like, especially when we hear how Vaishnava Aparadha is like so severe, how it says that, you know, if you commit a Vaishnava Aparadha, then even your Bhakti Lata Beej, you know, like the plant that you're watering every day, that is actually destroyed just like a mad elephant walking over a small plant. You know, so how severe. And then immediately the question comes, and this is often asked in the classes that, oh, what about some offenses that I may commit unknowingly? You know, because it's a material world, we may say something and, you know, we may not mean it, but the other person takes it like, oh, that's what he meant, and feels offended. You know, and again it comes to the point that if we are under the shelter of devotees and if we are in that mood of humility, then Krishna will actually help us overcome that obstacle, that even if that other person is offended, Krishna will show us a plan where we can actually know that, oh, that person felt offended, and we can actually ask forgiveness and then proceed in our spiritual journey. You know, so I was thinking, like, you know, just from this verse, from this pastime, how we can actually draw the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, that how Krishna is actually controlled by the love of his devotees. Only because of the Nag Patnis, Krishna actually transformed Kalia and gave him all these wonderful benedictions. Right? The second point is the only way, so Krishna is controlled by the love of devotees. Second point is the only way to get mercy is to be connected with the devotee of the Lord. You know, this is the other point that often comes up where people say, oh, why can't I directly worship Krishna? Why do I have to surrender to a devotee of the Lord? You know, again, the point is explained throughout Srimad Bhagavatam that only by the mercy of the spiritual master, only by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord can we actually receive the mercy of the Lord. Okay, that's the second point. And one point which actually Jiva Goswami says, that here it says Shri Rishir Uvacha is the, like, you know, other place for Sukdev Goswami it is said Shri Badarai Yani Uvacha. right? That's also referred. But here it actually says Sri Rishi, and Jiva Goswami is saying, it says Sri Rishi because he's a devotee of the Lord and he can see this Adbhuta Karmana of the Lord. So the third point here is that only devotees can know the glories of the Lord. Only devotees, because Sukadeva Goswami is a devotee of the Lord, he could actually know, wow, this is the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the real glory, how Krishna is actually controlled by the love of his devotees. Okay? And the final instruction is where it says, Krishna joined his wives in worshipping him with great joy and reverence. And this point I was thinking that, it wasn't Kalia, after Kalia was given the instruction that, okay, go to Ramanaka Island. It wasn't Kalia that he actually said that, oh, why should I go? I am here with all your devotees. I just want to stay and, have pastimes with your devotees here, because now he knows Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knows like all these devotees are his associates. He's having pastime. So it's like some may say like Kalia must just stay there. He's with Krishna. What else does he want? But actually, the point is following the instructions of Krishna is actually more important than actually the personal presence of the Lord. And how is he following the instructions? Joyfully. Susukam kartum avyayam. So it's not that Kalia is demanding that, oh, I need to be here with all the Vrajvasis. He's just accepting. Okay, this is my position. Krishna has given me the mercy. He's given me this instruction. And I can please Krishna just by following these instructions submissively and joyfully, and not demanding a higher position in our spiritual life. And I was thinking on this point that sometimes how we have the tendency to like say, oh, we claim to have, we actually demand a higher position in our spiritual life. But just a mood of submissiveness and just following Krishna's instructions joyfully and submissively, that is the essence of Krishna consciousness. Anyway, so those were a few points. I'm sorry, they're like all over the place, but there's a few points if Maharaj or Prabhu, any comments, any corrections, please. Yes, Prabhu. Right. Thank you, bro. Wonderful point. Yeah. Like I, that point is actually like if you can have that mood of like, oh, I deserve more than this, but Krishna has reduced. That immediately like gives so much relief in the most troubling situation. Like you can actually, teaching us, Wonderful point. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I think it's almost time. We'll end here. Should we end here? Should we end here? It's time. It's 7:15. 10 seconds. Okay, so we'll end here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.